2 Samuel 14. And Joab son of Zeruiah knew that the heart of the king was towards Absalom. And Joab sent to Tekoa and brought from there a wise Asha, and said to her, Please pretend to be a mourner, and put on mourning garments, and do not anoint yourself with oil, but act like an Asha who has been mourning a long time for the dead. Then you shall go to the king and speak to him according to this word. And Joab put the words in her mouth. And when the Asha of Tekoa spoke to the king, she fell on her face to the ground and did obeisance, and said, Deliver, O king. And the king said to her, What is your trouble? And she answered, Truly I am a widow. My husband is dead, and your female servant had 2 sons, and the 2 fought with each other in the field. And there was no one to part them, but the one smote the other and killed him. And see, the entire clan has risen up against your female servant, and said, Give him who smote his brother, so that we put him to death for the life of his brother whom he killed, and destroy the heir also. Thus they would extinguish my burning coal that is left, and leave to my husband neither name nor remnant on the earth. And the king said to the Asha, Go to your house, and let me give orders concerning you. And the Asha of Tekoa said to the king, My Aduni, O king, let the lawlessness be on me and on my father's house, and the king and his throne be guiltless. And the king said, Whoever speaks to you, bring him to me, and let him no longer touch you. And she said, Please let the king remember Yahuwah your Elohim, and the Redeemer of blood not destroy any more, lest they destroy my son. And he said, As Yahuwah lives, not one hair of your son shall fall to the ground. And the Asha said, Please let your female servant speak a word to my Aduni the king. And he said, Speak. And the Asha said, And why have you reasoned like this against the people of Elohim? For in speaking this word, the king is as one who is guilty, in that the king does not bring his outcast one home again. For we shall certainly die, and become like water spilled on the ground, which is not gathered up again. Yet Elohim does not take away a life, but shall devise ways, so that his outcast ones are not cast out from him. And now I have come to speak this word to my Aduni the king, because the people have made me afraid. And your female servant said, Please let me speak to the king. It could be that the king does what his female servant asks. For the king has listened to deliver his female servant from the hand of the man seeking to destroy me and my son together from the inheritance of Elohim. Then your female servant said, Please let the word of my Aduni the king be comforting, for my Aduni the king is, as the messenger of Elohim, in discerning the good and the evil. And Yahuwah your Elohim is with you. And the king answered and said to the Asha, Please do not hide from me the matter that I am asking you. And the Asha said, Please let my Aduni the king speak. And the king said, Is the hand of Joab with you in all this? And the Asha answered and said, As your being lives, my Aduni the king, no one turns to the right or to the left from all that my Aduni the king has spoken. For your servant Joab commanded me, and he put all these words in the mouth of your female servant. Your servant Joab has done this to change the appearance of the matter. But my Aduni is wise, according to the wisdom of a messenger of Elohim, to know all that is in the earth. And the king said to Joab, See now, you shall do this matter, and go, bring back the young man Absalom. And Joab fell to the ground on his face, and did obeisance, and blessed the king. And Joab said, Today your servant knows that I have found favor in your eyes, my Aduni, O king, in that the king has done the word of his servant. And Joab rose up and went to Geshur, and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. And the king said, Let him return to his own house, but do not let him see my face." And Absalom went to his own house, and did not see the king's face. And in all Yisrael there was no one who was praised as much as Absalom for his good looks. From the sole of his foot to the crown of his head there was no blemish in him. And when he cut the hair of his head, for it was at every year's end that he cut it, because it was heavy on him, when he cut it, he weighed the hair of his head at 200 shekels by the king's weight. And to Absalom were born 3 sons, and 1 daughter whose name was Tamar. She was an Asha of fair appearance. And Absalom dwelt in Jerusalem 2 years, and he had not seen the king's face. Then Absalom sent for Joab, to send him to the king, but he would not come to him. And he sent again the 2nd time, but he would not come. And he said to his servants, "See, Joab's field is near mine, and he has barley there. Go and set it on fire." And Absalom's servants set the field on fire. Then Joab rose up and came to the house of Absalom and said to him, "Why have your servants set my field on fire?" And Absalom said to Joab, "Look, I sent to you, saying, 'Come here, so that I send you to the king,' to say, 'Why have I come from Geshur? It was good for me while I was there. And now let me see the king's face. And if there is any lawlessness in me, then you shall put me to death.'" Joab then went to the king and informed him, and he called for Absalom. And he came to the king and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king. Then the king kissed Absalom,